Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is nearly here, and while the game was met with a somewhat tepid response after its E3 debut, previews since have finally started to set the hype train in motion. Set during the gap between episodes 3 and 4, Fallen Order follows the journey of fugitive Jedi Cal Kestis as he joins up with a band of rebels and evades the watchful eye of Darth Vader's Inquisitors. His droid companion BD-1 is also there for the ride, and with the game focusing on lightsaber combat and traversal first and foremost, it's shaping up to be the experience Star Wars fans have been clamoring for ever since EA took the license in 2013. Fallen Order also looks as though it's packed to the brim with tiny details that spill into gameplay, its story, and even how it's presented. So, in light of how it's very nearly Star Wars season, I'm Ewan, this is WhatCulture Gaming, and here are 10 little known details fans will love about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Number 10. Lightsaber customization is about more than just the blade. Whereas most single-player Star Wars games of the old gen only really allowed players to change the color of their blades, Fallen Order is going one step further by allowing full lightsaber customization. That means everything, from the crystal to the hilt, and even the internal components of your laser sword will be changeable, and that's pretty exciting. Fallen Order's customization apparently takes inspiration from the lightsaber attraction at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which allows guests to build their saber from the crystal outwards, and goddamn, I am so jealous of everyone who's got to go. So far, Cal has only been depicted wielding Star Wars' trademark blue as his lightsaber, and while there's nothing wrong with that, longtime fans are desperate to see different colors in there too. Fallen Order also has the honor of restoring the orange lightsaber to Star Wars canon, with orange crystals having been expunged from the canon following Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012. You can pick up an orange lightsaber simply by pre-ordering the game, but expect plenty of other crystals and hilts to appear throughout the story as well, just as there were in Jedi Academy and the Knights of the Old Republic. Number 9. Interacting with the Stinger Mantis goes beyond fast travel. In a similar fashion to Mass Effect's Normandy or Splinter Cell Blacklist Paladin, players will find themselves using Fallen Order's main mode of transportation for more than just flying through the galaxy. When Cal goes on the run, he encounters the crew of the Stinger Mantis, led by a former Jedi Knight called Kere Junda. Between missions, Cal will be able to navigate the Mantis and interact with its crew and rooms, and will merely have to sit in the cockpit to trigger a cutscene where you come out of hyperspace and arrive at your intended destination. It's all very seamless, and the simple act of allowing players to roam the Mantis is illustrative of Respawn's commitment to making a truly authentic Star Wars title. How many times have we seen characters relax in the Millennium Falcon while traveling to a specific destination? Plenty of times, and while the Mantis is obviously no Falcon, it does feel like a ship ripped straight from the films. Number 8. Purge Troopers block Cal's lightsaber at the hilt. One of the new enemies Fallen Order introduces are the Purge Troopers. These specially trained soldiers first appeared in the pages of Charles Soule and Giuseppe Comencioli's Darth Vader comic, and were originally one of the few Imperial units based on the genetic template of Jango Fett. As the Empire phased the clones out of service, ordinary humans would later be recruited to the unit. These troopers were trained specifically to assist Darth Vader and the Inquisitorius, Sith-trained Force users with the goal of tracking down the surviving Jedi who escaped Order 66. As the original unit were comprised of clones, they actually utilized Clone Wars era weaponry. When you're up close and personal with a Jedi though, only one weapon is going to do, and with the blade able to cut through anything, Purge Troopers have to be exact with their movements, lest they wind up with a severed limb or two. Fallen Order actually displays this element of combat perfectly, as when Purge Troopers block Kestis' lightsaber, they block it at the hilt and not the blade. Number 7. Your droid hops on and off your back unprompted. The latest adorable droid in Star Wars' increasingly gargantuan array of adorable droids, BD-1 will be Cal Kestis' main companion throughout the events of Fallen Order. They move around on 2 legs, have a face not unlike Disney's WALL-E, and is given free piggybacks by Cal. All in all, this droid could not possibly get much cuter. There's a science to making the droids of Star Wars uniquely lovable though, and it's a science Respawn's devs have seemingly cracked. You see, BD-1 doesn't just stay attached to Cal the entire time. They actually jump off at given moments, scan the environment for clues and things to add to your databank, and even provide health for the Padawan partner when prompted. It all feels very organic, and the fact they explore the environment of their own volition only further contributes to Fallen Order's sense of immersion. Number 6. Combat mirrors the Jedi way. Unless your name happens to be Anakin Skywalker, you're probably aware of the fact that being a Jedi isn't about rushing headfirst into situations, slicing away with your lightsaber whenever a target presents itself. Jedi are meant to be defensive, measured, and assured in combat, and that appears to be the direction Respawn have taken Fallen Order into. The game tends to reward players who are patient with their attacks instead of those who rush in trying to button mash their way to victory. Enemies telegraph their attacks with a variety of subtle motions, and it's down to the player to react and parry when the moment presents itself. The difference in enemy types also means that players will constantly have to reevaluate how they engage in combat. There are huge creatures, vehicles, and of course the Inquisitors themselves to worry about, and it means that caution should be exercised whenever possible. Fallen Order has seen comparisons to Dark Souls and God of War, and judging from gameplay so far, they aren't that far off the mark. Number 5. The story draws from the new expanded canon. Whichever side you fall on the Legends Expanded Universe divide, one thing that cannot be denied is just how great it is to see more and more Star Wars offerings fleshing out this new continuity. Fallen Order is of course itself classified as an Expanded Universe game, but while it makes reference to all the franchise's theatrical releases, it's also paying close attention to its other offerings too. The most notable inclusion from Star Wars' live-action efforts so far is Saw Gerrera, again portrayed by Forrest Whitaker, and certain previews have even mentioned how a hologram transmission from Obi-Wan Kenobi can be seen at one stage as well. However, for all that these nods to the main entries in the Star Wars saga are appreciated, it's the references to the expanded canon that are potentially more exciting. We've known for a while now that the principal antagonists of Fallen Order would be the Inquisitors, and that's a special treat for fans of Star Wars Rebels. Darth Vader's Jedi Hunters made their debut in that series and quickly became a hit, and the fact that the leading villains for Respawn's game demonstrates just how well the new canon gels together. Could Ahsoka Tano cameo too? Maybe even the crew from Rebels? Only time will tell. Number 4. The UI blends perfectly into the original trilogy's aesthetic. Illustrating Fallen Order's immersive qualities even further is the fact that the game's UI actually blends effortlessly into Star Wars' aesthetics. What do I mean by that? Well, in most video games, if you were to open a map, you probably have to hit pause, open up another menu, and access the map that way. Respawn's game does things differently though, by projecting a map out of BD arty style in the familiar blue tones of Star Wars' holograms. Likewise, when in the Mantis, players merely have to open up a holomap within the ship and choose a planet to travel to. Once selected, they can either wait in the ship as hyperspace comes into effect, or hop straight into the cockpit and arrive there quickly. No obvious old loading screens, and no waiting. It's a small change, but it's emblematic of the game's approach to the license. The less menus players have to navigate, the better, and if developers can find more ways of seamlessly integrating UI into gameplay, then that's a good thing. Number 3. One of the leads is leading her own prequel comic. Little is known about Cal's mentor in Fallen Order other than that she was a Jedi Knight during the Clone Wars and fought with the Republic against the Confederacy of Independent Systems. It's doubtless that the game will reveal more about her backstory, but for those more interested in immediate knowledge, their first port of call should be its prequel comic, Dark Temple. Written by serial Marvel writer Matthew Rosenberg with pencils from Paolo Villanelli, Dark Temple is set during the Clone Wars and follows Kerry as she embarks on a mission alongside her master, Eno Cordova. The first 3 issues have already been released, with the 4th set to hit stands the same week Fallen Order releases proper, and there will be 2 more to come after that. It's a really neat touch, and hey, anyone who's been keeping up with Marvel Star Wars comics will attest to their quality. Kerry herself is already shaping up to be a compelling figure, and though the comic shouldn't be considered essential reading by any means, it's more than worthy supplement to the main course arriving November 15th. Number 2. There might not be dismemberment, but wounds reflect the motion of your blade. Old Star Wars games never really had an issue with limb dismemberment, but that's changed in more recent years. Sadly, without the ability for the lightsaber to cut through enemies, most Star Wars games have relegated the weapon to an over-glorified glow stick or baseball bat. It feels kind of weak. Fallen Order must also conform to this trend in order to avoid an M rating, but that doesn't mean Respawn haven't at least tried to depict a different kind of result when Cal's sword strikes a stormtrooper. Behold your handiwork after cutting a few troopers down to size, and you'll see the cauterized strikes from the exact way your blade struck a given target. Full dismemberment is present when attacking the fictional beasties that reside in a galaxy far, far away, and that's also tracked in line with how your lightsaber makes contact, as opposed to predetermined positions as it was in the older games. And number 1, you can visit Darth Maul's home planet of Dathomir. It's currently unclear just how many planets will feature throughout Fallen Order, with Kashyyyk and Bracca two of the most notable inclusions revealed thus far, but easily the most exciting has to be Dathomir. First depicted in the new canon during the Clone Wars animated series, Dathomir is home to all sorts of dark side energy. It's also the birthplace of one Darth Maul, who was plucked from the planet by the Emperor prior to the events of the Phantom Menace. Also important to note are the Night Sisters. Also known as the Witches of Dathomir, these female figures were able to tap into the dark energy flowing through the planet's surface, and it was even a Night Sister who became Count Dooku's first apprentice, Asajj Ventress. This means Dathomir is a pivotal location in the expanded Star Wars canon, and one fans are sure to enjoy exploring come its release. And that was our list on Jedi Fallen Order's most interesting details. Be sure to check back in on WhatCulture Gaming after the game's release for our review, tips, tricks, and more. Don't forget to subscribe for more delicious content straight from the Thalassiren's teat. Follow me on Twitter at YouRunesThings, and well, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!